Psychometry, also known as token object reading or psychoscopy, is a form of extrasensory perception characterized by the claimed ability to gain accurate knowledge about an object's history by making physical contact with it. Supporters of psychometry assert that an object may have an energy field that transfers knowledge about its history to the person holding it. The term psychometry was coined in 1842 by Joseph Rhodes Buchanan, who developed the idea that all things give off an emanation. Buchanan believed that psychometry would revolutionize science and wrote a comprehensive treatise, Manual of Psychometry, The Dawn of a New Civilization, detailing how this direct knowledge would affect various branches of science. Buchanan's work was continued by geologist William Denton, who published a book on the subject called The Soul of Things in 1863. In the late 19th century, psychometry demonstrations became a popular part of stage acts and seances, with participants providing personal objects for reading by a medium or psychic. Psychometry is also commonly offered at psychic fairs as a type of psychic reading. While proponents argue that psychic detectives using psychometry have been helpful in specific cases, the majority of police departments do not consider psychics credible or useful in investigations. Skeptics explain alleged successes of psychometry by citing cold reading and confirmation bias, and psychologist Leonard Zuzin has noted that the involvement of psychics in police investigations has not been very helpful. Despite the lack of scientific evidence supporting its existence, psychometry remains a topic of interest in parapsychology and popular culture. Psychonautics is a methodology for discovering altered or non-ordinary states of consciousness, typically those produced by meditation and hallucinogenic substances, as well as a research paradigm that attempts to navigate these states to gain deeper insight into the human psyche and unconscious mind. The term covers activities in which altered states are systematically utilized to investigate, augment, or enhance the human condition, including traditional shamanic practices, various forms of meditation, trance, yoga, lucid dreaming, sensory deprivation, and the controlled use of hallucinogenic or entheogenic substances. A person who explores altered states for such purposes is called a psychonaut, a term derived from the ancient Greek words for soul, or mind, and sailor, or navigator. The term is attributed to German author Ernst Junger, who first used it in his 1970 essay, Approaches, Drugs, and Ecstatic Intoxication, drawing parallels between drug-induced experiences and physical exploration. Author Peter J. Carroll chose Psychonaut as the title of his 1982 book documenting the experimental use of meditation, ritual, and psychoactive substances in exploring consciousness and psychic phenomena, which he refers to as chaos magic. Psychonautics differs from recreational drug use in its aims and methods, as it employs mind-altering substances as tools for self-exploration, personal growth, and spiritual purposes, usually in a controlled setting, rather than primarily for pleasure or socializing. Methods used in psychonautics include psychoactive substances, particularly hallucinogens, meditation, yoga, dream exploration, ritual, trance, sensory deprivation, fasting, sleep deprivation, and oxygen deprivation. These methods may be used in combination, as in archaic traditions like shamanism, which may combine ritual, fasting, and hallucinogenic substances. The psychosocial hypothesis, or PSH, argues that at least some UFO reports can be explained by psychological or social means, rather than the more well-known extraterrestrial hypothesis. Proponents of the PSH see UFOs as a worthy subject of serious study, even if approached skeptically, and believe that most UFO reports have mundane explanations like misidentified celestial objects, airplane lights, or balloons. The hypothesis suggests that an unusual emotional climate can distort perceptions and lead to the perceived significance and anomalousness of terrestrial stimuli. In cases where people claim direct contact with extraterrestrials, the PSH points to the presence of surreal, dreamlike activity and imagery based on cultural environment and historical sources, suggesting that the extraterrestrial hypothesis is unnecessary and likely incorrect. The term psychosocial hypothesis gained prominence in the 1980s, with researchers exploring alternatives to the extraterrestrial hypothesis and seeking to understand the social factors driving UFO flaps and panics. Studies have found parallels between UFO narratives and pre-1947 science fiction literature, including themes of alien visitation, advanced technology, and various alien species like greys, insectoids, and reptoids. One of the most far-reaching discoveries in psychosocial research was the realization that the term flying saucer arose from a misunderstanding in Kenneth Arnold's 1947 UFO sighting report, which inadvertently shaped public expectations and UFO imagery for decades to come. Researchers have also examined earlier flaps of flying objects, such as phantom airships and ghost flyers, which were often associated with societal tensions, rumors of foreign spies, and evolving technology. These findings suggest that social forces can be sufficient in creating emotional climates conducive to frequent sightings of objects in the sky that may not be fully real. While some ETH advocates claim that even Carl Jung, a founding father of the PSH, considered the extraterrestrial hypothesis, Jung himself complained about being misrepresented as a saucer believer, and maintained a skeptical stance on the reality of UFOs. The Zapotec civilization, which thrived in southwest Mexico from 200 BC until the Spanish invasion in 1519, has a history shrouded in uncertainty, with its earliest known remains already exhibiting a high level of urban and agricultural development. The Zapotec capital, Monte Alban, is located on an artificially leveled mountain promontory, and features a huge plaza flanked by terraced steps, sunken courtyards, and low, handsome buildings. Excavations at Monte Alban began in 1931, revealing treasures of gold, jade, rock crystal, and turquoise in several tombs, but the most remarkable discovery was a complex network of stone-lined tunnels, far too small to be used by adults or children of average stature. The first tunnel, discovered in 1932 and explored in 1933, was only 20 inches high and 25 inches wide, requiring excavators to inch through on their backs. Along the tunnel, they found skeletons, incense burners, funeral urns, ornaments of jade, turquoise, and stone, and a few pearls, as well as even smaller passages branching off, some with tiny flights of steps. Further excavations revealed similar tunnels packed with clay and a complex network of miniature tunnels to the east of a tomb where the richest treasures had been found, with some tunnels less than a foot high. The purpose of these Pygmy tunnels remains a mystery, as they were ruled out as drainage systems or emergency escape routes, and official speculation about their purpose ceased after the initial excavations. Quantum entanglement is a phenomenon where a group of particles are generated, interact, or share spatial proximity in such a way that the quantum state of each particle cannot be described independently of the others, even when the particles are separated by a large distance. Measurements of physical properties such as position, momentum, spin, and polarization performed on entangled particles can be found to be perfectly correlated in some cases. For example, if a pair of entangled particles is generated with their total spin known to be 0, and one particle is found to have clockwise spin on a first axis, then the spin of the other particle, measured on the same axis, is always found to be anti-clockwise. This behavior gives rise to seemingly paradoxical effects, as any measurement of a particle's properties results in an apparent and irreversible wave function, collapse of that particle, and changes the original quantum state. With entangled particles, such measurements affect the entangled system as a whole, even if the particles are spatially separated. The concept of quantum entanglement was first addressed in a 1935 paper by Albert Einstein, Boris Podolsky, and Nathan Rosen, describing what came to be known as the EPR paradox. Einstein and others considered such behavior impossible, as it violated the local realism view of causality, and argued that the accepted formulation of quantum mechanics must be incomplete. However, later experiments have verified the counterintuitive predictions of quantum mechanics, demonstrating entanglement through tests where polarization or spin of entangled particles were measured at separate locations, statistically violating Bell's inequality. Quantum entanglement has been demonstrated experimentally with photons, electrons, and even small diamonds, and its use in communication, computation, and quantum radar is an active area of research and development. Despite popular misconceptions, quantum entanglement cannot be used for faster-than-light communication, as all interpretations agree that entanglement produces correlation between measurements, but prohibits the transmission of information at faster-than-light speeds. The concept of quantum immortality proposes that, under the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, a person could potentially live forever by constantly splitting into multiple versions of themselves across different universes. This bizarre idea challenges traditional understandings of death, suggesting that one's consciousness could continue existing in another universe even if they die in the current one. In our technologically advanced era, it may be possible to extend lifespans to the point of potential immortality through methods like uploading consciousness to computers. This unique opportunity allows for the exploration and potential realization of quantum immortality. According to this concept, as long as there is a small chance of survival in a given situation, there will always be a version of oneself that survives in a parallel universe, enabling the possibility of living forever across an infinite number of parallel realities. While quantum immortality is a mind-bending concept with profound implications for understanding life and death, it remains highly debated among physicists and philosophers. Various interpretations of quantum mechanics exist, and not all necessarily support the idea of quantum immortality. Quantum mechanics is a fundamental theory in physics that describes the behavior of nature at and below the scale of atoms, and is the foundation of all quantum physics, including quantum chemistry, quantum field theory, quantum technology, and quantum information science. While classical physics can describe many aspects of nature at an ordinary scale, it is not sufficient for describing the behavior of systems at very small submicroscopic scales. Quantum systems have bound states that are quantized to discrete values of energy, momentum, angular momentum, and other quantities, in contrast to classical systems where these quantities can be measured continuously. Measurements of quantum systems show characteristics of both particles and waves, a phenomenon known as wave-particle duality, and there are limits to how accurately the value of a physical quantity can be predicted prior to its measurement, even given a complete set of initial conditions, which is known as the uncertainty principle. The development of quantum mechanics arose from the need to explain phenomena that could not be reconciled with classical physics, such as Max Planck's solution to the blackbody radiation problem, and Albert Einstein's explanation of the photoelectric effect. The modern theory of quantum mechanics was formulated in the mid-1920s by Niels Bohr, Erwin Schrödinger, Werner Heisenberg, Max Born, and others, and has since been applied to various fields, including solid-state physics, quantum chemistry, and quantum optics. Quantum mechanics has had enormous success in explaining many features of our universe that cannot be accounted for by classical methods, and has led to the development of technologies such as the laser, transistors, and semiconductors. The theory has also given rise to many philosophical debates and interpretations due to its counterintuitive aspects and results, such as the probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics, the difficulties with wave function collapse, and quantum non-locality. Despite the ongoing discussions about the interpretation of quantum mechanics, the theory has been extensively tested and has yielded predictions that have been verified experimentally to an extremely high degree of accuracy. In the classical universe, Objects exist with specific properties that they continue to possess, regardless of whether or how recently they've been observed. But in the quantum universe, many properties remain in an indeterminate state until a critical measurement, observation, or interaction forces the issue. For nearly a century, physicists have argued over various interpretations of quantum mechanics, such as the Copenhagen interpretation, the many worlds interpretation, the ensemble interpretation, and the pilot wave interpretation, each attempting to explain the bizarre behavior of quantum systems. However, despite the ongoing debate, the true nature of our quantum reality exists independently of any interpretation, and the focus should be on understanding the universe based on what can be measured and observed, rather than imposing additional assumptions driven by our biases. Experiments have consistently shown that the quantum universe does not behave according to the classical rules of locality, realism, and determinism, and that the act of measurement or observation can fundamentally affect the outcome of a quantum system. The search for an objective, observer-independent reality may be misguided, as the universe could be fundamentally intertwined with the act of measurement, observation, and interaction at the quantum level. The goal of science should be to uncover the nature of reality irrespective of our biases, and to find experimental tests that can distinguish between different interpretations of quantum mechanics, rather than declaring what reality should be based on our intuition or assumptions. Until an experiment is devised that can provide new insights into the nature of quantum reality, it is better to embrace the puzzling and bizarre reality that can be measured, rather than imposing additional structures driven by our own biases. Scientists at the Riken Interdisciplinary Theoretical and Mathematical Sciences in Japan have identified a new quantum property called magic to measure the weirdness of spacetime. This property, derived from the Gottesman-Nil theorem, distinguishes between stabilizer states that can be efficiently computed on a classical computer and non-stabilizer states, or magic states, which are necessary for achieving universal quantum computation. The researchers studied magic in the integrable and chaotic regimes of the higher spin generalization of the Ising model through two quantities, mana and robustness of magic. They found that in the chaotic regime, mana increases monotonically in the early time region, and at late times, these quantities oscillate around a non-zero value that increases linearly with respect to the system size. The results suggest that under chaotic dynamics, any state evolves to a state whose mana almost saturates the optimal upper bound, becoming maximally magical. The team's findings also indicate that magic of quantum states is strongly involved in the emergence of spacetime geometry. The researchers were searching for a quantum quantity that could apply to the boundary system and be mapped to the bulk to describe black holes more fully, particularly their chaotic characteristic. The scrambling of information thrown into a black hole, which cannot be recovered, is a manifestation of chaos. The team's calculations showed that in a chaotic system, almost any state will evolve into one that is maximally magical, the most difficult to simulate using an ordinary classical computer. Scientists have developed a groundbreaking technique called biphoton digital holography to visualize two entangled light particles, or photons, in real time. This method captures an image of the entangled photon state through the interference pattern created when the entangled photons interact with another known state of light. By using a nanosecond precise camera, researchers can analyze the interference pattern, revealing a stunning yin-yang-like image representing the two entangled photons. Quantum entanglement is a phenomenon where two particles become inextricably bound, so that a change to one causes an instantaneous change in the other, regardless of the distance between them. To make accurate predictions about a quantum object, physicists need to find its wave function, which describes the particle's state existing in a superposition of all possible physical values. Traditionally, quantum tomography is used to measure properties of entangled particles, but this process is time-consuming, and often produces unphysical states that don't follow the laws of physics. The new biphoton digital holography technique is exponentially faster than previous methods, requiring only minutes or seconds instead of days to analyze the entangled photon state. This breakthrough could have significant implications for the development of faster quantum computers and more efficient quantum measurements in the future. The ability to visualize entangled photons in real time provides a deeper understanding of quantum entanglement and opens up new possibilities for harnessing the power of quantum mechanics in practical applications. Quasiself-reproduction is a fuzzy concept introduced by Sadegh-Zadeh that offers a new interpretation of self-reproducing machines and suggests a theory of techno-evolution. According to this concept, there is a tendency in the nature of technology for machines to join up and work together, resulting in the emergence of a larger, more efficient and powerful machine than its individual parts. This peculiarity has led to the growth of a distributed, unique global machine, GM, over the last centuries, which consists of the network of all machines on and around the Earth. The techno-evolution of the global machine proceeds in a Darwinian manner, comparable to the bioevolution of animal and plant species through quasi-self-reproduction and selection. The global machine forms a subsystem of a hybrid hypercycle comprising two evolving partners, the biosphere and the technosphere, which rapidly co-evolve due to the enormous dynamics of the hypercycle. As a result of this co-evolution, the technosphere undergoes a process of advancing mentalization, which humans often misinterpret as artificial intelligence constructed by them. However, according to Sadegh-Zadeh's theory, this mentalization is a natural, gradual emergence of the intelligent and self-conscious machina sapiens, manifesting as a globally distributed machine, rather than a human-made construct. Radiesthesia and radionics are two related pseudoscientific practices that claim to detect and manipulate subtle energy fields within the human body and the environment. Although both practices are considered scientifically unfounded, some practitioners believe that they can influence each other. Radiesthesia is a claimed ability to detect radiation emitted by living beings, objects, or geographical features. Practitioners typically use dowsing rods or pendulums to locate these energy fields, which they believe can provide insights into an individual's health, the location of lost objects, or the presence of underground water or minerals. Teleradiesthesia, a subset of radiesthesia, involves detecting these energies from a distance using maps or photographs. Radionics, also known as electromagnetic therapy, EMT, or the Abrams method, is a form of alternative medicine that claims to diagnose and treat diseases by applying electromagnetic radiation to the body using an electrically powered device. The concept originated with American physician Albert Abrams in the early 20th century, who claimed to detect and balance energy frequencies in patients' bodies. Some practitioners of radionics also claim to possess radiesthesia, the alleged paranormal ability to detect radiation, or auras, within the human body. They believe that imbalances in these electromagnetic fields or frequencies cause diseases by disrupting the body's chemical makeup, and that applying electromagnetic energy from external sources can correct these imbalances. In this context, radiesthesia is sometimes used as a diagnostic tool in radionics, with practitioners claiming to detect energy imbalances in the body that can then be treated using radionic devices. Conversely, some radiesthesia practitioners may use radionic devices to enhance their ability to detect and manipulate subtle energy fields. The mainstream scientific community considers both practices to be pseudoscience, and no scientifically verifiable mechanisms of function for radionic devices have been demonstrated. Systematic reviews have shown that EMT is not an effective therapy for various conditions, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has banned or issued warnings about several commercially available EMT devices. In the Yap Islands of Micronesia, large stone discs called Rai Stones were used for ceremonial exchanges, and as a form of currency. These stones, made of crystalline limestone, can range in size from just a few centimeters to several meters in diameter. Rai stones were quarried primarily on the island of Palau and transported to Yap using rafts and canoes, which was a difficult and sometimes dangerous journey. The value of a Rai stone was determined not just by its size, but also its history, such as the challenges faced in its transport or the fame of the sailors who carried it. Ownership of a Rai stone could be transferred even without physically moving it, as long as the transaction was recorded in the oral history associated with the stone. In one famous instance, a large Rai stone was accidentally dropped into the sea during transport, but it was still considered owned and used in exchanges, despite never being seen again. Rai stones are an interesting example of how the concept of money and value can be largely a matter of social agreement and shared belief. The rainbow serpent is a deity and common motif in the art and religion of many Aboriginal Australian peoples, known by different names in various languages. The serpent is seen as the creator god, shaping the land and bringing both life and destruction through its association with water and rain. While the name rainbow serpent is widely used, it actually refers to a collection of myths that vary between Aboriginal cultures, with the serpent sometimes taking the form of other animals like crocodiles or bats. In some stories, the rainbow serpent swallows and regurgitates people, such as in the tale of the Wawalag sisters, which is linked to rituals and sacred sites in Arnhem Land. The rainbow serpent is not always a literal snake. It is more of a symbolic, powerful being that is heavily tied to the spiritual concept of the dreaming. The serpent's gender is variable, sometimes male, female, or ambiguous depending on the specific culture, and it is often associated with human fertility and the cycles of nature. Rock art depictions of the rainbow serpent can be found across Australia, with regional variations in its appearance, such as differences in the number of tails or the shape of its head. The origins of the rainbow serpent myth are uncertain, but some researchers have suggested it may be inspired by the appearance and behavior of certain snake species like pythons, or even represent a cultural memory of extinct prehistoric snakes. Traditional rituals invoking the rainbow serpent, such as the Kunapipi blood ritual, are still practiced today in some Indigenous Australian communities, as a way to honor the being's power and significance. Beyond its role in traditional beliefs, the rainbow serpent has also influenced modern art, literature, music, and social movements, serving as a potent symbol of creation, destruction, and the enduring spiritual connection to the land. Randonautica is a mobile app that generates random coordinates for users to explore their local area and report on their findings. The app, launched in February 2020, is inspired by concepts like chaos theory and the idea of breaking out of predetermined realities through random exploration. Users can choose from 3 types of coordinates: an attractor, a void, or an anomaly, each supposedly offering a different kind of experience. Randonautica gained a significant following on social media platforms like TikTok and YouTube, with users sharing their unusual or coincidental experiences while using the app. The app's popularity surged during the COVID-19 pandemic as people sought new ways to explore their surroundings while adhering to social distancing guidelines. However, the app has also been the subject of controversy, particularly after a group of teenagers using Randonautica discovered a bag containing 2 dead bodies in West Seattle. While the creators maintain that this incident was a shocking coincidence, it has led to speculation about the app's intended purpose and the potential risks associated with its use. Despite these concerns, Randonautica's creators have emphasized that the app is simply a tool, and that users are responsible for their actions, including respecting private property and not engaging in illegal activities. As of July 2020, Randonautica had attracted over 10 million users, demonstrating the widespread appeal of its unique blend of exploration, randomness, and the potential for unexpected discoveries.